Indonesia merupakan sebuah negara yang menjadi tumpuan wisatawan di seluruh dunia. Para bule berkumpul di Indonesia untuk melihat keindahan panorama alam yang dimiliki oleh Indonesia. Daripada Sabang sampai Merauke, semua tempat telah pun dikunjungi oleh para wisatawan untuk menikmati keindahan panorama alam.
RAZLEE STUDIO.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kembali lagi bersama RAZLEE STUDIO. Bagi yang baru hadir, terima kasih. Salam persahabatan, salam perdamaian, salam Nusantara kepada Anda yang hadir di channel ini. Pada hari ini saya akan membuat satu video reaction yang berjudul 10 Way Indonesian Confuses Foreigner. Dan sebelum itu, video ini saya dapat daripada channel Alana Don't More. Seperti biasa, jangan lupa berikan sokongan dan dukungan kepada channel Alana Don't More dengan berikan subscribe, like, share juga komen-komen yang membina guys. Tanpa basa-basi, ayo simak video ini.
Di video ini aku bakal ngomong tentang 10 reasons Indonesia confuses foreigners.
Dia bagi
Indonesia ada
10
banyak street food.
reason
Enak lah. No,
tentang
Bapa, it's
Indonesia.
not gonna be a little bit spicy. Apa? Number 1, nasi campur. Aku sangat suka makan nasi campur.
Nasi
tapi
campur.
Bule get very confused about nasi campur because they don't know what anything is. If they go to local warung and want to makan nasi campur, they don't know what anything says. There's no English signs. Often not many people can speak English and explain it to them, so they're looking at everything like what on earth is going on, and they don't get any help from anyone, and they're just really confused. So oftentimes they just go somewhere where they can have an English menu. But if they had a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance, guys, message me about anything to do with nasi campur, boleh ya, no problem. Tapi for the average foreigner, it just confuses them. Personally, aku sangat suka makan nasi campur. Setiap hari aku suka makan nasi campur. Number 2, the money. The money really confuses foreigners because your money is so big, like ₦1,000,000. To be a millionaire in Indonesia is 60 pounds. 60 pounds in the UK will not get you very far. Obviously in Indonesia, like ₦1,000,000 is going to get you loads. But when foreigners come, and maybe if they're on holiday, if they're going to Jakarta, Bali, when they exchange their money, maybe they're going to have like a few £100s for a couple of weeks. When they exchange that into rupiah, they become millionaires and they just get so confused. They're like, wait, what? How is this money real? They feel like it's monopoly money. Suddenly the bills are so much bigger than what they're used to if they're coming from Europe, America, wherever they're coming from, Asia. Different money is very interesting to see like how much is equivalent to somewhere else. Number 3, the spice level. When uncle tells you, tak pedas or sedikit pedas, no, Bapa, it's not gonna be a little bit spicy or no spice. That food sangat pedas lah. Pedas gila. It's gonna be so crazy spicy that you're not gonna be able to handle it. And this confuses foreigners. If you tell them it's a little bit spicy or no spice and suddenly it's really spicy, they get confused. They're like, but you said no spice. Honestly guys, if someone tells me no spice, I expect 0% spice. I expect negative spice in that food. So when it becomes spicy in my mouth and there's a party going on in my mouth, I get a little bit confused. Tapi now saya belajar that sedikit pedas in Indonesian to foreigner is a lot of spice. Tak pedas, still gonna be a little bit of spice. Alright, you get it guys? So now foreigners, you can understand the spice level di Indonesia. Number 4, street food. Street food can confuse foreigners because Indonesia ada banyak street food lah. There's so much street food on offer that foreigners just get overwhelmed, but they also get confused because if there's no signs in English, they look at like gado-gado and they're like, what on earth is gado-gado? They look at pisang goreng and they think, what is pisang goreng? They should really just Google it, right? Or you guys can watch my videos. But if it's their first time in Indonesia, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming and there's all these different stalls. But if you're a foreigner coming to Indonesia, my advice to you is just go for it. Just try everything. Obviously, if you have dietary requirements, maybe learn in Bahasa Indonesia how to say like no peanuts, which I think is tidak kacang di sini, something like that. Overall guys, you got to push yourself out there. You got to try all the Indonesian street food because there's so much on offer and enak lah. It's so delicious. Number 5, the language. Of Of course, the language confuses foreigners. Even for me, saya boleh bercakap di bahasa Melayu, tapi di Indonesia, saya tidak bercakap di bahasa Indonesia. It's very difficult for me to speak Indonesian. I learned bahasa Melayu first, so it's much easier for me to speak Malaysian, but when I come to Indonesia, I have to start switching words. Saya to aku, selamat tengah hari to selamat siang. So many things. Cuba to coba. There's so many subtle differences in the Indonesian language, and more so when I do TikTok live or YouTube live, when people type in Malay, I can understand, but when you type in Indonesian, and on top of that, you use like text talk Indonesian where the words are like so short, I look at it and I'm like, what on earth does that say? Aku mahu belajar lagi ya. Like, I will hopefully, inshallah, learn more, okay? Give me some time. Aku coba lah, okay? Number 6, that would be the spray gun in the bathroom. So I think most foreigners, when they come to Indonesia, when they see the spray gun, they think, oh, this is just for like cleaning the toilet, cleaning the bathroom, what a great idea. Little do they know, it's actually for cleaning themselves. Like, in the UK, in Europe, we just don't have this. I think in France, they have like a bidet. And I think, no, not even I think, I know Indonesians, when they find out that Europeans don't use this, they're like, girl, what? Apa? Get using it, guys. Number 7. I feel like this one, moving on from the last one's quite funny. Using your hands to eat food. This is definitely something that confuses foreigners, because they're used to eating with a fork and a knife, and not only are they trying to use a fork and a spoon, now you're adding hands into the mixture, and they just look really awkward. And if you're like me, who's left-handed, but you have to use your right hand, you just look like a child who's learning to eat food for the first time in their lives. But they can learn, okay? Give foreigners a chance. They can learn. They can use their hand. It is very confusing for us that we are taught that it's bad manners to use your hand. I know, can you believe that? We're told, like, don't play with your food, don't eat your food with your hand, eat it with a knife and fork. But when we come to Indonesia, we're like, oh, okay, let's try use our hand, because that is more polite. That is how you should be eating food. It does confuse us, but we do try. Number 8, leading on to this, you're never given a knife. You're given a fork and a spoon, which is hard enough to try and understand, because we're used to really using a knife. If we're having like meat, we'd put the fork in the meat and then cut it like this. Suddenly, we either have to use our hand, like I mentioned, or try and like flick the meat off with the spoon. And it makes sense, because a lot of your meals in Indonesia, like makanan Indonesia, ada nasi, like it has a lot of rice, right? So that's why I use the fork, because then you can scoop up the rice, and it does make sense. But when it comes to the meat, we're like, how do we eat this without a knife? We do get a little bit confused here, but again, as I mentioned, we try. Number 9, when you're given hot water instead of cold water when you ask for water in a restaurant. So if you're asking just for like maybe a glass of water rather than like a bottle of water, and they give you like hot water, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, we always would expect like cold water, like even with ice cubes, or what we could also get is room temperature maybe in Europe, but we don't really like that. We much prefer cold water. But here, if you just ask for normal water, perhaps they would bring you hot water, which is a little bit confusing for us. We're like, oh, okay, do we need a tea bag? Are we gonna have some tea? Like, no, girl, you're just gonna drink your hot water. Enjoy. And I'm like, oh, no lemon? Like, maybe we'd have hot water with lemon, but just hot water. Boleh, okay. Number 10, rice cookers. I know what you're thinking, but rice cookers actually really confuse us foreigners. We just don't really have them. Like, I certainly don't have a rice cooker at home. I don't know many Europeans that actually have a rice cooker. We're used to actually cooking rice, wait for it, on the stove. I know, we cook rice on a stove with a pan, and even worse, my mom, I'm sorry to out you, mom, but ibu saya masak nasi di microwave. My mum literally cooks rice in the microwave. I know what you're thinking, guys. I know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking. But it's true. My mum genuinely sometimes uses the microwave. We don't have a rice cooker, and I just don't know a lot of Europeans who do have a rice cooker. If you like this video, don't forget to watch this video here when I talk about 10 weird habits I've adopted living in Indonesia.
Demikianlah video daripada channel Lana dan semua, guys. Kalau kita lihat dalam video ni, 10 alasan dia kenapa dia datang ke Indonesia, dan dia sangat suka dengan Indonesia dengan 10 alasan. Yang pertama, katanya dia memang suka makan nasi campur, guys. Katanya sangat enak nasi campurnya yang ada di Indonesia. Dan seterusnya, apabila dia bawa duit negara dia ke Indonesia, otomatis dia menjadi jutawan ya. Itu yang dipikirkan. Nah, seterusnya dikatakan bahwa di Indonesia banyak ataupun masakannya pedas-pedas. Dan di sini dia boleh membedakan masakan yang spicy, original, ataupun yang separuh pedas, tidak pedas. Semua dia dapat mengetahuinya di Indonesia, guys. Yang keempat, dibilang bahwa di Indonesia memang banyak tempat-tempat warung-warung ataupun street food seperti gado-gado, dia boleh makan pisang goreng, sanggar, dan itu yang menjadikan dia begitu teruja bercerita tentang masakan yang ada di Indonesia, guys. Dari segi bahasa, walaupun katanya sebelum ini dia pernah belajar bahasa Melayu, namun setelah dia ke Indonesia, dia terpaksa mengubah beberapa suku kata karena bahasa Melayu dan bahasa Indonesia itu memang ada perbedaannya. Dari segi bahasa gaulnya, dari segi bahasa formalnya memang berbeda antara bahasa Melayu dan juga bahasa Indonesia, walaupun hakikatnya kedua bahasa itu saling paham, memahami, guys. Dan dari segi kamar, katanya di Indonesia memang mereka suka bersihin toiletnya dan bersihin bagian-bagian yang tertentu, guys. Dan dia merasakan bahwa itu sesuatu yang pelik, tapi di Indonesia itu menjadi keutamaan, guys. Yang seterusnya, dia sangat teruja yang ketujuh ini karena di Indonesia dia melihat bahwa ramainya warga dan mengajar dia makan menggunakan tangan kanan, guys, bukan tangan kiri. Tapi katanya dia diajar untuk menggunakan tangan kanan karena makan dengan menggunakan tangan kanan itu lebih sopan berbanding menggunakan tangan kiri. Dan yang ke-8, dilarang menggunakan pisau ketika makan, harus menggunakan tangan. Dan itu yang dia rasa, kalau di tempatnya makan menggunakan pisau itu perkara biasa. Tapi di sini dia katanya, nggak bisa ya, nggak boleh ya. Terusnya yang ke-9, air panas. Dia pun katanya kalau di negaranya, hidangan air panas itu mereka tidak gemari. Tapi di Indonesia, air panas itu menjadi hidangan utama. Karena perlu dipahami bahwa di Indonesia ramai yang beranggapan bahwa minum air panas itu satu amalan awet muda, guys. Supaya kita sentiasa kelihatan bertenaga, kelihatan muda, kelihatan cantik, kelihatan ganteng lah. Itu antara tips dan rahasia, guys, daripada zaman berzaman, bahwa kaidah itu merupakan satu kaidah tradisional untuk memastikan kita sentiasa dalam keadaan awet muda, guys. Dan yang ke-10 katanya di tempatnya tidak ada rice cooker, guys. Dan dia tidak mengenal rice cooker. Mereka masak pun menggunakan microwave. Tapi di Indonesia katanya, ada rice cooker. Tapi kalau di Asia itu perkara biasa, guys, rice cooker. Karena setiap rumah memang memiliki rice cooker untuk memastikan kita dapat masak nasi dengan begitu cepat dan juga kita tidak dapat membuang masa, guys. Namun begitu, padanya itu suatu perkara yang unik bagi dia. Bagi kita itu perkara biasa, guys. Apapun secara keseluruhan, Bule ini sangat shock berada di Indonesia dan dia mengatakan bahwa dia masih lagi belajar bahasa Indonesia untuk memahaminya dengan lebih mendalam dan dia memang sangat suka tinggal di Indonesia, guys. Itu sedikit sebanyak pandangan daripada RAZLEE Studio. Sekiranya Anda mempunyai pandangan tentang video ini, Anda boleh komen di bawah. Sekian, jumpa di next video. Assalamualaikum. Bye-bye.